Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Sit-Downs with yours truly, R. Adrianus slash Steady Camera Guy, who strikes again for our second edition of the Steady Camera. Now, I'm just glad that I finally found a place to mount the camera properly, and yeah, it's just really nerve-wracking because I want to give you guys the best vids, and it sucks, and if you can't find a good place to mount the camera, and then it looks kind of funky, and I just want to have a steady conversation with you guys, steady. But for today's sit downs, I wanted to talk about reading in accordance with writing, how it relates, how it helps. I've been reading a great deal recently as I do my editing and my writing, and I just kind of wanted to reflect on it, with you guys. And obviously, feel free to comment, feel free to message if you guys have some thoughts on this subject, on any of the subjects during the sit downs. It's really great. I want to establish a dialogue with you guys. But reading to writing, or writing to reading. Ooh, even better. More dynamicism. But I read a lot. I feel that reading is very crucial to one's writing style, to one's ability to write properly. I've never considered a good writer someone who didn't read often. You need to read as much as you can to make yourself a better writer. I've made this point a couple of times in previous videos, in relation to it, to other subjects. But yeah, reading, I think that if you don't read, you can't really get a feel for what other styles there are, and you can't feel on, what you're comfortable with what's right, what's wrong in your style. A lot of people say that there's always a definitive way to write. You need to stand by this standard and never, stray from that. But that's not the case. If you read a lot of different things, whether it's prose, if it's nonfiction, if you read drama, if are one of those people who just happens to read screenplays, or you get a feel for what you want to do, for what you feel comfortable with, and that's how it ends up reflecting in your writing. I mentioned that I read a whole lot of stuff. I think it's just a really great catharsis for me, because reading is amazing. All those different stories that are just kind of at your fingertips, and just you need to absorb it. But as a writer, I feel that, I take this little bit from here, take this little bit from here. I can kind of see what other authors have done before me and currently. We have a bunch of amazing contemporary writers who are doing some very unique things, for the industry, for the art, and it would behoove you to, explore that. I I'm reading right now. The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Strangely enough, I'm not very fond of the young adult genre, as I've also mentioned in previous videos. But I do understand the necessity for it. It's a very tremulous time for people, during their teenage years, and so they need some form of literature to go to, something that they can relate to, and something that speaks to the issues that they are experiencing. And so I'm reading Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I think that helps a lot with what I'm doing as a writer. I'm writing right now a protagonist, or should I say, I'm editing a protagonist who's a teenager. Just a coincidence that he's a teenager. It just fits the story better than making him an adult. And so when you read young adult literature, and say you happen to want to write a story, that has a young adult protagonist, it's better for you. It's very beneficial because you see what other authors have done with those types of characters. You see what the mentality is for these types of characters, and you can kind of get a feel for what you would want to do. Not necessarily do a carbon copy of what another author has done, but get into your own motion. You see one thing and you're like, okay, that might be kind of good to emulate, or to take a little bit of that and make something of my own and apply it to my own writing. And that's all it's about. Reading is very beneficial. Just read. You don't want to write so much so and think you're amazing, and then you go out and you finally read a book and you see that, oh my god, compared to these other books, this is trash. You don't want to get to that point. You want to be able to kind of compare and contrast. You look at books and maybe you'll even say like, oh, this is awful. My writing is so much better. And that might be an inspiration for you, depending on where you come from, what kind of mentality you have as a writer. Or it might make you want to strive to do better. If you read something and you said, well, I feel like my writing could meet this level, you read somebody who you admire as an author, and you see it and you're like, I want to reach this point. And as a writer, yeah, of course you want to always make yourself better, make your stories better for the reader, and also just for yourself as an experience. But I hope this has been a fairly insightful video for you guys. Like I mentioned, this past weekend I'm going to be doing a comic book review for X-Men Battle of the Atoms, so look forward to that later this week. But thank you for joining me for the sit-downs. I'll be seeing you guys later this week with the review, but until then, have a good one. Peace and love. Bye.